What's up, everybody? Coming to you guys with a new video. It's been a while since my last, and I have a lot to talk about. First off, as you can see, if you've been following my videos, I'm home from school, back in the good old, barn here that is my workspace. So I have that to talk about. I also have a whole bunch of PCs I got, about 22 in total. Most of them are these Dell Optiplexes, small form factor PCs. Some of them are large form factor, a few other ones. I also have some other things to discuss, such as the streaming PC I've been working on for streaming Steam games over the network, as well as this basic Netflix thing and everything. And a new 4K TV that I might discuss. That's not it, it's another one. And some other cool stuff. So yeah, I'm home from school. I came home, let me think, about 3 weeks ago almost, actually, if not more. And I've been hanging around since then. I haven't really dove into technology that much until the past week or two. But once I did, I've been pretty busy. I've been working on these machines for like a week or so, on and off, and doing a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's kind of difficult because coming home from school can be a bit complicated, trying to decide what to bring and what not to bring, and then I forget stuff, and then I brought stuff I didn't need. But of course I brought my desktop with me, and my laptop, and just a box of things I thought I'd need, which is pretty neat. So I have this huge stack of Dell Optiplex PCs right here that my friend gave me. He's been talking about giving them to me since I think the summer, but he hasn't given them to me until now, or about a week ago. So he worked for a company over the summer that had a whole bunch of these Dell Optiplex. They're all Optiplex 760s and 780s. They all got Core 2 Duos. They were bought in late 2009, and his company didn't need them anymore because they were upgrading. And they were going to throw them out, but they decided to let him have them. So they let him take a Windows 7 activation key, and he put Windows 7 on all of them, and now he wants them to sell them. However, the Windows 7 installation wasn't properly activated, and by the nature of the Windows 7 key, I'm not able to activate them with that key. So it's been a little bit messy. They have Vista COAs on them, so I had to put Vista on all of them, but then the installation was broken because Vista's horrible, of course. But I've been doing a lot of back and forth with these things, but thankfully I set Vista up on one of them successfully, and I gave it back to my friend. He's going to update it because his internet isn't horrible, and he's going to download and install all the updates, make sure it's all set to go. I'm going to take it back, I'm going to pop the hard drive out of it and connect to all these other machines, and then just start selling them one by one. I even bought a whole bunch of boxes for about $2 a piece to sell these with. So I popped these open. They've all got Intel Core 2 Duo E8500s, which is actually the same model of CPU as I put my 2009 PC when I built that about 6.5 years ago. About 6.5 years ago. They'll take DDR2 800 megahertz memory. I put 3 gigabytes in each because I don't have enough memory to put 4 in all of them. Got one 60 gigabyte Seagate 7200 RPM hard drives. I think some of them can be upgraded to Core 2 quads, but that's really not relevant because I don't have any Core 2 quads. And these are worth about 40 or 50 bucks off eBay. So as soon as I can, I'm just going to start selling these one by one. And he gave me about, I'm going to say 18 of these small, well, maybe not 18, maybe more like 15 or 16 of these small form factor 760s that work properly. There's a whole bunch of them that don't. Those 3 down there don't have power supplies or memory because the power supplies died. And these 2 here, same deal. I've been just pulling parts out of for other machines. But included in that bunch were 2 large form factor 760s with pretty much the same exact hardware, same CPU, same memory, some hard drives, some everything really. One of which had a NVIDIA Quadro 2000 1GB graphics card in it. That was pretty neat. But the deal with the Quadros is that they're really not gaming cards. They're very professional grade cards that are made for AutoCAD and things like that. So I sold that on eBay for $50. It's PCI Express 2.0 1GB. I think it's a 128-bit that nor he or I needed. And also included in a bunch of PCs was a couple small form factor Dell Optiplex 780s and a couple large form factor Optiplex 780s. He took back the large form factor 780s because he would like to use them for servers or something along those lines. Actually, he only took back one of them. The other one I put Windows 7 on with the code that was on the top, and I put a Wi-Fi card in it, and I'm selling it right now, trying to get 70 bucks out of it, or 80 bucks or so. And this is one of the small form factor 780s that I received 2 of, one of which is my streaming machine I just showed you over there. These things are kind of similar to the 760s, except for the fact that they take DDR3 memory at 1066 megahertz. Kind of a bummer it can't do 1333, but you know, it's no biggie. They've got E8500s as well, although they can be upgraded to Intel Core 2 quads. So pretty much everything's the same. They're pretty good little machines. They have Windows 7 professional codes on that are unique to each case, which is perfect because I can just load 7 on each one of them. However, I do not have enough DDR memory, and I haven't quite yet determined if it's worth it to buy more DDR memory to put into this thing here just to sell it. Although the deal with my other 780 over here as my streaming PC, which I'll show you in a little while, I actually took the memory that was originally in my 2009 gaming PC and put it in there. That's 4 gigs of DDR3 1333, of course running at 1066 because that's the best the 780s can take. And along with all the other Optiplexes, he also gave me a few other machines. This E310 is mine. It's been sitting here for a while. I should probably just toss it out. But he gave me a Style Dimension E310. These things really aren't worth much anymore. They're, you know, over 10 years old at this point. They have Pentium 4s and take DDR2 533 at best. So I'm probably just gonna, I think he might want it back, so I might give it back to him. But otherwise, I'm probably just gonna scrap it, which is kind of unfortunate because, you know, they were nice little machines, but they're just not worth anything anymore. And along with all those PCs came a bunch of hard drives, the most interesting of which is this one right here. He wants to keep these three hard drives, which is why they're set aside. But this is a really interesting hard drive right here. This is a Western Digital Velociraptor 300 gig 10K RPM hard drive. When I first saw it, I thought it was a 2.5-inch laptop drive in some sort of heatsink encasement, but it's actually how the hard drive is manufactured. It actually comes with that entire heatsink to it. But he wants that back. I think it would be pretty fast, probably be faster than a brand new hard drive because this one was manufactured in late 2011, so it's not that old. But pretty nice hard drive, but that's his, not mine, so I can't argue with him taking it back. And a couple more 160s he wants for his own purposes. And along with all those Optiplexes came a Dell Inspiron 530. It used to be his dad's PC that he didn't need anymore, so he gave it to me. However, I've already sold it. I put it up on eBay yesterday and it sold that same day, and I just brought it to the post office a couple hours ago. But it was a nice little PC. I was contemplating making it into a server until I realized that's a stupid idea because I already have tons of server hardware and machines that I simply do not need. But I originally had a Pentium dual core. It was actually one of these CPUs over here. And I popped one of the E8500s out of one of the broken Optiplexes and popped it in here. Gave it 3 gigs of memory, a 250 gig hard drive, put Vista on it because it had a Vista code on it. Of course, I don't have any spare copies of 7 to sell. Sold it for $60. Probably going to make about 50 profit after all the fees and everything. So that was pretty neat. So that's pretty much it for all the PCs he gave me. There's another, I think, is this a 780? I can't remember. Yeah, no, this is another 760 right over here, large form factor. Same exact type as the one right there that I'm going to set up as soon as he gets the updated 780 back to me. I'll clone the hard drive off that and I'll pop it in all those other machines down there and pop one of those hard drives in this after I get some memory and everything for it, if it doesn't have any already. So when I came back to school, I brought some of these desktops with me. If you've been watching my past videos, I mentioned that I went to a recycling center in my college town of Burlington, Vermont, and I bought some of these custom-built dual-core desktops right here. And that ended up being a bad investment. I think I spent about $25 on each one of them. Maybe it was 30. It might have been even 35 because I was planning to resell them about a year ago. But that didn't end up being the best investment. They're very difficult to sell on eBay. I actually have one of them. It might be this one. Yeah, it's this one right here. Listed on eBay right now. The reason they were such a bad deal is because they do not have COAs on the case. They have no Windows keys whatsoever, and obviously not anything for any other operating system. So yeah, they each had AMD Athlon dual-core CPUs, and they took DDR2 800 memory. But this one right here, I just tossed a couple gigs DDR2 800 dual channel in it. It's got, I think, a 2.6 gigahertz Athlon 2X2. I just put Ubuntu 15.10 on it, got that working with the proper chipset drivers and everything, and popped that on eBay for I think $45, but it's having some trouble selling. It's been up for a few days, and someone asked a question about it, but didn't sell yet. It seems like they don't know enough to actually be able to use Ubuntu properly. So that's a little unfortunate. But what I did with most of them is I made servers out of them. There's two running in my business space at school alongside my Dell Precision 690 that I'm using as servers. And the third one right here, they all have the same motherboard, by the way, except for one. They're all MS7309 motherboards. And this one right here I just set up with Xubuntu 15.10. Just to use this as a server. If my parents ever upgrade internet, I'll just have this thing sitting in the corner that I can just plug in and start using it to run a server from the house here. But until then, it's pretty much just in my reserves. Also brought home a bunch of my other little parts. I didn't bring home everything because I couldn't quite get everything, but you know, a 500 gig SATA hard drive and a couple of these video cards here. I believe this is the original card to my 2009 gaming PC. It's a GeForce 9800 GTX Plus 512 megabyte. Someone threw another one out a few years ago, so now I have two of them. I think the second one is broken, but I don't know. They're just kind of cool to keep around in case I need them for anything. Also brought a whole bunch of heat sinks and stuff home that I just don't need. They'll probably end up tossing. So until about 15 minutes ago, I had a whole bunch of desktops sitting right here that my brother is actually taking to the recycling center right now. Included in that stack was a couple of PowerMac G5s, I think they were, with dual CPU power PCs in them, but each of them I think had little issues. I loaded OS 10.5 in one of them at one point, and they can sell for about 50 bucks on eBay, but the issue is I don't have any boxes big enough for them because they're so huge and they weigh a lot, and they won't fit in any of these boxes. This is just one of my 760s, by the way, that I have listed right now. They won't sell for anything because I can't fit them in a box, and nobody's going to come all the way to where I live to pick one up, so I ended up just to scrap them. They had a couple weird issues. They could take, you know, DDR 400 megahertz dual channel memory and dual power PC CPUs, but they really just weren't worth it, so I tossed them out. I also did some work for a client not too long ago. I really don't have anything to point the camera at, I'm sorry. But I did some work for a client a little while ago, and they ended up giving me a couple PCs I just scrapped. One was a really old Dell with a Pentium 3, I want to say, and the other PC was a Dell Latitude from probably like 2000, with like a 1.1 gigahertz CPU in it that I scrapped as well. And that client needed me to fix one of their computers. I won't go into it. Basically, Windows was screwed up and wouldn't connect to a network, so I had to reload Windows on it for them. And the next one had some issues, so I replaced it completely, ended up scrapping that. I replaced it with one of the 760s I set up. So that's pretty much everything about the PCs I've been selling. Now on to my streaming PC. So for the past few weeks I've been home. I have this TV here I brought home from school, and I decided that I wanted to do something that would allow me to watch Netflix easily through this. So I set up one of my spare motherboards to one of those PCs I bought a while ago. With a dual-core CPU, and I put Xubuntu on it and hooked it up to this TV. And that worked pretty well for when my friends came over and we'd watch Netflix. But I decided I wanted something to stream Steam games through quite easily, so I built this. This is one of the small form factor Optiplex 780s my friend gave me to sell, but I'm keeping this one for myself, which is okay with him, of course. I put Windows 7 on it. I was going to use Ubuntu, but I decided to use Windows 7 because Ubuntu was being rather difficult with using Steam Big Picture mode, and it has a 1 gigabyte, I think it's a Radeon HD 3490 graphics card in it that Ubuntu didn't really have the proper drivers for anywhere. So I decided to put Windows on it, and I must confess Windows is a lot more stable and just usable than Ubuntu ever was on this PC, so I've been using that. I'll go ahead and boot it up for you right now. Usually I keep it on sleep mode when it's not in use. And it boots up pretty quick. I was thinking about taking my 2009 PC and pulling hardware out of that and popping it in this, but my 2009 PC is at my brother's dorm, so I really don't have access to it. There's a grub bootloader with both Ubuntu and Windows 7 listed as boot options, and I've set 7 as the default. So yeah, Windows boots up pretty quick. So does Ubuntu, but like I said, Windows is just a whole lot more stable on this machine. So I have it set so that Steam starts up automatically. It's obviously not instantaneous, but the idea is that I can just push the power button on this thing, or bring it out of sleep mode by pressing the that button right there on my wireless keyboard. Once that starts up, all I gotta do is press this button here and I'm in big picture mode. My speakers are turned off, so there's not going to be any audio, but that's not really a huge deal. And what I can do is I can actually stream games from my desktop behind me here, as long as it's on the same local area network, which of course it is. So I can play any of these games off my desktop through the TV with this PC as a streaming PC. And obviously if I go ahead and exit big picture mode, I have Chrome installed with a shortcut to Netflix, so that's very, very easy just to bring up, and so I can watch whatever I want. And this is really meant to be used at my apartment back at school. My girlfriend and I like watching a lot of Netflix and stuff, so I'm thinking we'll use this for doing all that. And originally I was going to put SteamOS on this. I actually downloaded it from Valve's site, but it ends up that in order to use SteamOS, the machine you're using it with has to have support for UEFI, which is like the new version of BIOS. And only machines from the past 3 or 4 years actually support UEFI, so it wasn't really viable for me to put it on any of my computers, because this machine does not support UEFI. It's just straight up good old BIOS, and I don't have any machines that I could dedicate as a streaming PC that actually support UEFI, so I was not able to load SteamOS on this machine, which is why I'm just using Windows for now. But who knows, maybe in the future, once the entire SteamOS thing really takes off, if it ever does, maybe I'll build a small form factor PC with some pretty good hardware in it to put SteamOS on. But for now, this is what I got, and it works pretty well. So just a few things before I go ahead and end the video. For my laptop, I was using a Razer mouse for the longest time. I really like Razer. I'm using a Razer Death Adder Chroma for my desktop that I've had for, I don't know, a good few months. But I was using I think it was a 2013 ergonomic Razer Death Adder for my laptop for a while, and that ended up breaking. And I ordered a replacement from Razer, and oddly enough, my product broke about 2 weeks before the 2-year warranty ended on it. So Razer sent me a replacement. It took a little while to arrive, but to my surprise, they sent me a Death Adder Chroma as a replacement to my Death Adder ergonomic, which is pretty much an upgrade, so that's pretty neat. Just thought I'd put a quick mention to that. I bought this Razer Kraken Pro headset a while ago, a few months back, and I'm pretty satisfied with them. The audio quality isn't amazing, but they got a great microphone, they're comfortable, and that came with a free Razer mouse. It's slightly smaller than the Death Adder that I've been using for my laptop for a while, so I really don't have a need for this thing. I don't know what I'm going to do with it yet, but yeah. And next, my last thing to mention is that with my entire gaming community and all that, by the way, for those of you who don't know, I'm running some Gmod servers, a Counter-Strike server, a Rust server, and some Minecraft servers. I run them all through a VPN because I'm running them off my school's network. And obviously I can't port forward my school's network, so I'm running them through a VPN with a Raspberry Pi off of my apartment's network. Now, I've been using PPTP for a while, which isn't super duper secure or versatile, so I decided that I'm going to set up an OpenVPN server. So I took a Raspberry Pi home with me. It's one of my friend's B pluses that I've been borrowing for a while, that I am eventually going to give back. And I'm going to set up OpenVPN on it. I just set it up inside the house, and I have power and Ethernet plugged into it, and I'm pretty much just going to go ahead and set up OpenVPN. I'll just take a crack at doing that. So pretty soon I'll have more servers up, because as soon as I set up the OpenVPN server, that means I'll be able to connect my Linux server virtual machine running off my PowerEdge to the OpenVPN server, because it doesn't seem to like PPTP, and then I'll have more servers running on multiple IP addresses, probably more like Gmod servers, that kind of stuff, which will be pretty cool. So earlier in the video I mentioned that my parents bought a new TV for the holiday season. I helped pick it out. It's a Samsung 55-inch 4K TV inside the house. I'm not going to show it to you right now, but I might make a review on it at some point. I decided to put a pretty quick mention towards that. It's quite a nice TV. It's 120 Hz. It's got a whole bunch of HDMI inputs, and it's beautiful 4K, which is kind of silly because we're still watching 480p TV through the cable box, because we haven't upgraded our TV service or internet in years, as I frequently mention. So that's about it. I'm also going to make a review pretty soon on my 144 Hz 1440p Asus monitor right here at some point, and There's a whole bunch of other things I should really make videos on, but I think that pretty much closes up this one. You know, all in all, I have a whole bunch of PCs to sell on eBay again before I go back to school in about a week. You know, I've been working on that streaming PC, which I might make a separate video on. And yeah, so that's pretty much all for now. So as usual, I thank all of you for watching, and I hope to see you in my next videos.